People will and do treat you how you allow them to treat you. Whatever your standard is for how people talk to you, what they do in your presence, what you allow them to do in your life, that is exactly what you will get. Hey, my name is Megan Parker, and this is my mindfulness channel discussing all things mindfulness from thought awareness to meditation, nervous system regulation, and everything in between. People treat you how you allow them to treat you. It is true. Whatever you allow them to do in your presence, however you allow them to talk to you, that creates a standard. And so I learned this in a weird sort of way many years ago. I was seeing a man that stood me up. And we had a friendship prior to our relationship, and we had been dating for a while. So I didn't just cut him off, but he stood me up. Didn't We were supposed to meet up, and I didn't hear from him. He didn't call to confirm. I didn't hear from him at all that night. And so the next day I didn't say anything. He called to act like nothing happened. I was still suffering from people pleasing, very much, very passive. I didn't speak up much for myself at all. I really didn't have the confidence and the self-worth to hold, the people that I was dating to any sort of real standard. And we can talk about as to why that was on another video. But at this point in my life, yes, I was just being defeated by people pleasing. And I didn't know at the time that I was craving connection over my own authentic self. And so this man has stood me up. And it wasn't that he was necessarily immature, because he was some years older than me. But so I respected him in terms of being what I thought was a more mature individual. And I think there was just some fear there of saying something and like, muddying the water, so to speak. And so I didn't say anything at all. Fast forward a couple weeks later, he did the same thing again. And it was difficult. It was difficult. But this time I said something. And this man had the audacity to tell me that him standing me up was my fault. It was my fault because I didn't say anything. And I was livid. Like, I was so mad that he had that audacity to blame me. And in part, it was true. What he didn't do was take responsibility for standing me up. He was a grown man, and he stood me up and didn't say anything. He didn't apologize. He didn't keep his word, and he didn't acknowledge it. And me, I was wrong as well, because I allowed for it to happen. I allowed for this man to not keep his word and not say anything about it. And I dated him for a while after, and because of how I allowed him to treat me, that's how I got treated. I got dismissed. I wasn't respected. I didn't receive the type of honor that you should receive in a relationship as a woman who esteems herself, because I didn't esteem myself. So if you don't have a standard for yourself, if you don't have a level of awareness as to what you're allowing people to do in your life, then the chips will fall wherever they may. Whether it's on your job, whether it is in your partnership, in your relationship, or whether it's with your children, you are the one who has to establish boundaries. You have to figure out how you want to be treated, how you don't want to be treated. You have to weigh the cost. You have to weigh what it does to your emotions, and ultimately what it does to your nervous system, because those things will store up in the body. They'll store up in the emotions of your being, and they can become volatile or triggering after some point in time. And so you have to become aware of, are you holding the people in your life to a certain standard? Are you holding yourself to a standard? Do you have healthy boundaries in your relationships? The things that make you uncomfortable. If you're in a relationship and the way that your partner speaks to you, it causes you to become hurt or angry or triggered, yes, they might need to do some self introspection and really look at who they are and how they're talking to you. But you are the one who is ultimately responsible for what you allow. We're not being victims here, and we're not blaming and pointing the finger at somebody else. We are saying that both parties should take responsibility. And so you have a right to come to your partner, you have a right to go to your children and raise that standard. It might be uncomfortable at first, but to communicate to them and tell them, I don't like the way that you speak to me when we're having an argument. You have a right to raise that standard of care and that standard of regard of how they think and what they think is acceptable in the relationship. So, yes, I learned the hard way that whatever you allow someone to do in your life, that is exactly what they're going to do. It is up to you to have certain boundaries and certain levels of esteem for yourself in order to teach people or to show people what you will allow. When you don't have confidence in yourself, when you don't have strong self-worth, that you will allow things to happen in the relationship and you will allow yourself to be treated in ways that will break your heart. And as much as it is the responsibility of the person who's mistreating you, whether they want to admit it or not, it is as much your responsibility, if not more, to protect yourself. If something hurts you in the beginning of a relationship, if something really bothers you, you have the right to walk away, especially in the dating portion. Oh yeah, I could think of many times that I allowed for certain things to happen when I was dating someone that should have literally been the end of the relationship. But because I tend to be a forgiving person, I tend to um, have an understanding and awareness that people are in pain and they've had trauma and that, they're doing the best that they can. And so I would give them a pass and I would give them another pass when they should have been disqualified from my life. We don't need to hand out passes and make allowment for things to happen in a relationship that are damaging. Because when we do that, then we are abandoning ourselves. So yes, people treat you how you allow them to treat you. You hold that standard of care and the level of your self-worth. And so take some stock, you know, write some things down, write down what you're willing to allow. Write down what you're looking for and how you want to be treated and what and how you believe that you should be treated. Establish boundaries. They're healthy. Boundaries are healthy for yourself, to have them for yourself, and to have them in relationships with others. And because people treat you how you want to, people treat you how you allow them to treat you, it is up to you to show them what and how you want to be treated. And so when somebody does something that makes you uncomfortable, speak up. You don't have to yell, you don't have to scream, you don't have to cuss them out. Like that's going, because then you become the person who's being disrespectful and is mistreating someone else. But when you figure out something makes you uncomfortable, all you have to do is say, I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. That hurt my feelings. And if that individual doesn't understand, that's okay. If they don't agree, that's okay. If they don't validate, that's okay too. It is okay for them to disagree or to not validate or to not have understanding as to why that hurt you. It's up to you to protect yourself from being hurt further in that manner. So if someone speaks to you in a way that you feel is disrespectful, you have a right to feel disrespected. And you have a right to walk away. People make mistakes. And so, I have given too many passes in so many of my relationships. I believe a first pass, depending on what it is, that might be okay because we all make mistakes. But when someone does it over and over again, they speak to you disrespectfully over and over again, they speak to you aggressively over and over again, they cuss you out and you don't like being cussed out over and over again, that's a pattern. That is a pattern. Even if they apologize and they still do it again, that is a pattern. They apparently don't have the wherewithal or the capacity to change. And that's okay, because I'm not here to change anybody. And I would advise you not to try to change anybody. But what you can do is walk away. I'm not saying burn every bridge. And if you have a problem with multiple people in your relationship speaking to you or treating you in a way that makes you uncomfortable or that makes you feel hurt, go to them and talk to them about it and take responsibility for what you allowed them to do. I'm telling you, take stock. Take stock and figure out how you want to be treated. I hear my dog drinking water in there. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but yeah, take stock and to advocate for yourself. You might have to go to your partner and friend and say, look, this has been going on for a while, but I need to let you know how this really makes me feel. They don't have to understand. They don't have to like it. They don't have to agree, and they don't have to validate it. A lot of times we think that we should be being validated when we share our pain or our hurt with our partner or our friend or our loved one. But they may not do that. And that does not mean that what you're saying is not valid and is not your truth. But I have a rule of thumb that if I'm upset or hurt about something and I go to my partner with it and they don't agree, they don't understand, they don't like it, that does not determine how I should feel. I'm the one who gets to determine how I feel. And if something makes me uncomfortable, if something hurts, then whether they take responsibility or not, I'm taking responsibility for what I allow. And what I cannot allow is myself to be mistreated, because then I'm abandoning myself. And I've done that too many times. And so I'm here to help you establish some boundaries and really tap in to your awareness and being mindful of what you're allowing. I had to do that before. I had to do that with a partner. I had to go to them and I apologize, even though I know that I was not being respected or loved or cared for in the way that I wanted. As my standards grew, I came to the realization that I had been allowing for things to happen and for things to be done that were hurtful or that made me uncomfortable. And because I had let it happen, I went to my partner and I apologized. I was like, look, I am sorry, but I haven't been showing you the real me, because the real me was hurt a long time ago by X, Y, and Z. I had to take responsibility for it. And yeah, I apologize because I wasn't being my true self. I wasn't being my authentic self. I had to apologize to myself. And then I apologized to my partner because I wasn't giving them the true, real version of myself. Because early on in the relationship, the things that made me uncomfortable, the things that made me unhappy, I could have just walked away. I could have disqualified this person. But because of love and because of what I thought was connection, I stayed. And I built something based on a perception that how I was being treated was okay, and it wasn't. As I grew in my awareness, as I grew in mindfulness and my awareness and realized that I had to take responsibility, I had forgotten what that person said to me years ago, that it was my fault. And I don't really want to say it's fault or blame. It's time to take responsibility for how you're being treated, and to not be a victim and to not blame others, but to look at yourself and look at what are you allowing. I encourage you to advocate for yourself and to teach people how you want to be treated. And you might have to teach that to yourself first, especially if you don't know where to start And if you're completely unhappy with the person that you've been being and what you've been allowing, then the real work has to start on self first. That's where the real change has to occur, because when you raise that awareness and you tap into your own value and your own self-worth and what you will allow or not allow to become a standard, you will see that people start showing up in your life differently. You will show up for yourself better, and others will show up for you better. Please comment below any questions you might have. I've got some links below. You can check out my website. I'll see you soon. Thanks.